Go on then. So you say about your garage door, what?
Garage door, yeah, my garage door's really noisy. Whenever I come on live, you can guarantee somebody will open the garage door, and it's all you can hear is like it's thunder in the background. Yeah.
So, yes.
Go on then. So you say about your garage door.
Why'd you press it? I don't want to hear my own voice. Why'd you press it? And it goes on there and then you can see it, which makes a big mistake. Anyway, we are here. The trouble is with this, we chat along and then I suddenly go, oh, we've got to go live. So we go live halfway through a conversation. So I'm sitting up here in my office. I decided I didn't want to go down to the my studio today. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to sit here. It's lovely and warm. The sun's out. Is it really sunny where you are?
It is really sunny here, actually. It's been really windy the last few days. My poor little rabbit in the garden, its hatch flew over last night, the night before last. We found it hopping about in the garden, soaking wet in the morning. I felt so sorry for it, but we've rescued it now and it's been tucked around the corner out the wind. So hopefully it's a bit happier.
Oh my God. Well, people are popping on. Jess, bless her cots. She's on. Lovely to see you, Jess. Jess is somebody I know from the Birmingham end of my life. And so, yeah.
I lived in Birmingham for a while.
Did you?
I lived in Birmingham. Yeah, I lived in Erdington, North Birmingham, for a few years.
Erdington. So I lived in Sutton Coldfield, and I think Jess used to live in Birdington. So
that's really close. Yeah, really close.
That's another conversation. Anyway, I am so excited to have Suzanne on here because I met Suzanne, as you know, I'm creating my online course, More Than Makeup. And Suzanne, I've met through that because Suzanne is actually creating her own course, which is basically called the Blood Sugar Roundabout Revolution. Not sure which name yet.
I think the course is going to be Blood Sugar Revolution because it's going to change people's lives.
I know, it's amazing. So I got talking to Suzanne and asked her a few questions and I was like, oh my God. And then when she said, what's your favourite food? I said, chocolate. She said, yeah, you can eat it. I was like, what? And then she said, well, what do you normally have for tea? And I told her and she went, yeah, you'd be better off missing that. And then you wouldn't crave the sweet after you've eaten your food. Because I said, well, I always eat big teas. And then about 5 minutes after I put my knife and fork down, I just go, I'm really hungry. And basically you said it's because of this or because of that. And mashed potato is a big no-no, but you're going to tell us more about that. But I mean, mashed potato must be the staple part of most people's and like you say, it's not because it's got butter in, it's just mashed potato, but you can tell us that in a minute. But I've got a few questions of people, so I'm going to ask.
Okay, for it.
I've got a few questions of my own, but first of all, when I first met you and you told me what you did, you said health and wellness. Mm-hmm. And I said, everyone's talking about health and wellness and calling themselves health and wellness. And you said, well, technically, I am what you called you study human chemistry.
That's right. Human chemistry practitioner is my technical qualification, but no one knows what that is. So I kind of played around with a few different words to help people understand what I do. But the basic idea is I study the way the body works. So from a human chemistry perspective, that's like neurotransmitters and hormones. And linked into that, I can then figure out what we need for our body to make it work well. Yeah. So the food that we eat, I'm not looking at it from, okay, what does the almond do for you? I'm looking at what do we need from the almond. You see what I mean? It's a slightly different perspective.
Yeah. And when you started to explain it to me, I was like, you know, when you see all these diets like the Atkins diet and the Weight Watchers diet and the Slimming World diet, and they've all got their strategies, but what you do is you take it past the branding and you teach people how that particular food works inside their body, which I think is absolute gold because everyone's different, aren't they?
Everyone is different. It is a funny thing, and it's due to the fact that a large part of our digestion is actually done by our gut bacteria, not by the cells and the hormones in our body. So we've all got a different history there in terms of what we've had. Some of us have had loads of antibiotics. Some of us have had, holiday travel bugs. Others have got, sensitive guts that we can't have certain things. And our own unique gut bacteria digest food in different ways. So actually what would be bad for one person isn't necessarily bad for another. We talk about that in terms of allergies quite a lot, but not always in terms of what food is good for us as well. So yeah, it's all different.
Vince, we talk about his stomach. You all know Vince, my partner. He eats anything. He literally, you know, whereas I'm looking at things going, oh, that's pastry, that's going to give me heartburn. Oh, that's an orange, it's too much acid. Oh, that's a this, that's a that. And I'm over criticizing my food before I've even put it in my mouth. But ultimately, what we need to do is understand, you know, what things are doing. Bless. We've got a few more people on here. Natasha and Heather and Jessie obviously was on there, and Sally Ann. And Sally Ann's just put a little message. We know Sally Ann.
We do. Hi, Sally Ann.
Sally Ann's another amazing person. But I'm gonna get Sally Ann on here in a couple of weeks, and she's going to tell you more. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, when I was in America, I had mouth fever.
Ooh.
Of all things, my inside of my mouth got so hot it blistered. I was totally run down, and I think that's what happened. And over there in America, they treat medication completely different over here. So in America, I went to the paid doctor, as you do, and I got thrown steroids, antibiotics, something else, all in one go. And literally meant within like 5 days, I was perfect. But boy, do I regret doing that. And the doctor, when I came back over here and told him, he said, we would never give you all of that in one go, which we might find a bit frustrating when the doctor says, if it hasn't gone, come back and see me next week. But I guess it is better for your system, isn't it?
It is. I think if you don't need all of that, why put your body through that? Because the lasting effects on you can be quite dramatic in some people. Definitely.
How long after you've taken antibiotics can the byproduct of taking antibiotics affect your body? Is it like for life if you don't get it back again?
Well, it does depend on what you do afterwards. You know, it's always hard. When say you've had a chest infection, you've had antibiotics for it. Recovering from that, it's not the time when you're feeling like preparing healthy food, is it? Because you're crawling about trying to get back on with your life again. But actually, that's something you need to have, you know, the fresh fruit and veg, because you need to build that bacteria back up again. Antibiotics wipe out a lot of your gut bacteria, which you can get back, but only if you eat the right foods. If you don't, there's basically a hole there. It's like just making space for the bad stuff to go in. So you end up with people with all sorts of problems occurring because they've just not looked after their gut after the antibiotics.
But you can take, I'm asking you questions here that you didn't know I was ever going to ask. So I do apologise. I'm just fascinated by it. But you talk about probiotics, but in theory, food itself is a probiotic, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think we have a tendency to cook
the tablet, whereas actually you can take something else. Sorry, Suzanne.
So I think the line got a bit funny there. We were talking over each other. Most apologies. If you eat all cooked food, then you're going to be wiping out a lot of the good stuff that goes in. But if you have a mix of kind of half raw veggies and half cooked veggies, depending on what meal you're having, your body will have. We're supposed to be exposed to other things. You know what I mean? We're not supposed to live in a sterile world where everything we have in touch with us is, you know, bleached to the point of nothing else living on it. We're supposed to, you know, eat a lettuce leaf that's still got a little bit of bit of germs on it. I suppose it's good for us to be exposed to that. Some of that will pass through and be healthy, happy germs in our tummy.
So if I'm cooking my carrots for my tea, I normally cut a carrot, eat it, a raw one, and then eat my. So that's actually quite a good habit to do.
Perfect. You're doing it. You're already doing it.
But I do peel it because I can't stand the peel. But are we supposed to be eating dirt?
Well, you don't have to actually eat the buds if you don't want to. I'm not not that extreme.
So we've sort of picked Sally Ann to the question. There's a bit of a delay with this, but with StreamYard. But Sally Ann was probably listening to us and said, "Do antibiotics kill off gut bacteria?"
Yes,
and
they
what
do.
you're saying, do they all kill it off?
Every antibiotic will kill some bacteria. Yes. So it's not like you take, I don't know, your amoxicillin and you'll have no gut bacteria left, but some of your gut bacteria will die from that. And what you end up then with space in there for other things. Imagine the surface of your gut is covered in bacteria normally, and you take some of it away, there's then space on that surface for other things to overgrow, but you wouldn't necessarily want it to. You want diversity. Your healthy gut has got a lot of different diversity in terms of what gut bacteria is there.
So you, as a human chemist, can basically look at somebody tell them what bits they're missing, tell them what to eat, and they get better. Is that it?
Not quite as simple as that. No, human chemistry goes a bit different to that. But what I'm trying to do with my blood sugar roundabout is to educate people about a specific function within the human body. So it's literally looking at, when you eat a food, how does it take the energy from that food and convert it into sugar in your bloodstream? How quickly does it do that? And what is the impact on you? Right. And if the impact is then too high, what can we do to slow that down or soften that reaction? Because what we don't want is blood sugar goes massively high, and then you have to get loads of insulin from your pancreas to take it all down. It gets deposited as fat, and then it's really hard to break that fat down again while the insulin's in your system. So there's a kind of blockage comes along. If you have a nice gentle food, you don't have that spiky reaction.
So the majority, there's Jack. Bless. Jack's come to say hello. Hi, Jack.
Hello.
Yeah, Jack's another amazing one. I'll get on here. Well, she's already been on here once, but I'll get back on again. That's the wedding industry, if you remember. But for me, I think a lot of people automatically think they can take a tablet and solve it. And when I was talking to you, I thought the biggest thing that we've got a very similar client base, because your main client base, you deal with everything, don't you, from children to, however old you want to be. But you find the biggest problem that people have with their gut bacteria and blood sugars and weight gain is the 40 to 55 group. I
think that's when people start to notice it more. I think when you're in your 20s and 30s, you feel a bit invincible, don't you? You don't always notice the changes, and then suddenly it gets a bit harder because your body gets more insulin resistant, and that's when you start to think, okay, maybe I need some changes here. But without the right information, it's hard to know what changes to make. Right,
so you have created this amazing course, which is not quite signed off yet, but what me and you have done differently, which is why we work well together, is we could easily have written a course and sold a course to say, this is how you do this and this is how you do that, which is what you get with YouTube videos, people doing free lives and all that kind of thing. But what we've done is we've created our own group of clients, I suppose, friends and that type of thing. And we've listened to what they want to know, which is how I've met you. And your blood sugar roundabout, whatever you decided to call it in the end, answers all of the questions, but almost in a bespoke way, doesn't it?
It does. So I've got a Facebook group called the Blood Sugar Roundabout, where there's a group of lovely people that are, on a mission to get themselves in good shape and, get more energy as well. And so I'm interacting with them to find out what they need and giving them tips on how to help themselves. But ultimately, I'm going to be launching a course to help people understand not just what's good in theory across the board, but what is good for them, how to figure out exactly what foods are causing them a problem and how to adapt them to make it easier for them.
So Joy, I've put Suzanne's group there, and then I'll share it afterwards as well. But if you want to get on to Suzanne's group just before she's about to, sign off this course and get all your questions in there, when she creates this course, it will be, she really needs you in there. I mean, I need to create my own group as well. I keep saying it for ages, but I have so many clients that you're talking to all the time. But in a nutshell, my question to you was, can I eat chocolate? And this to me was the, oh my God moment. And so here's the question, Suzanne, can you eat chocolate and lose weight?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Right.
So let me explain. So this stems from the fact that chocolate is what's known as a low glycemic index food. Now, the glycemic index is a set of information that some really clever scientists have put together, where they've measured reactions to different foods. They've taken, say, 10 or 20 people, they've given them a food, and they've measured what that does to their blood sugar. Okay, so if you had 20 people eating, I don't know, a banana, say, they'll measure what that does to your blood sugar and give that a number. They'll take those same 20 people, they'll give them a bar of chocolate and see what that does to their blood sugar. It's given a number. And they've done this thousands of times with different foods. Anything below what they call the low glycemic threshold, which is 55, is not going to give you a blood sugar spike of anything that's going to cause you trouble. So anything under 55 is generally not going to make you put on weight either, because you won't have the insulin spike from it. and chocolate is about 42. So good news.
There's a lot more people started to watch, I think. But what you said to me was amazing, because I know friends who eat chocolate all the time and they're quite slim.
Yeah.
And I always used to say, well, if she can eat it, I can eat it. But why do I end up putting weight on it? But you said something that was very interesting, because it's chocolate and
yeah. So in my group recently, I did a focus week on chocolate, because I think people do like to know. And it's one of those convenience foods. If you're out and about and you're hungry and you're half an hour from home, where do you go to get food? Right now, it's the petrol station, isn't it? There's nothing else out there. Yeah. And what are you faced with in the petrol station is a massive shelf full of chocolate. Now, if you were to go and just pick your favourite bar off that shelf, I'm not saying that is going to be low glycemic index. If you pick up, say, I don't know, a toffee crisp, not going to be good for you. If you pick up dairy milk, fine. You know, it's the things in the chocolate. It's the other things in the chocolate that make you put the weight on. So Kit Kat Chunky was the worst thing I tried. I actually spent a good few months testing my own blood sugar responses to all the different foods, because I was really curious, and that's the kind of thing I do. So I was testing my sugars just with a normal finger prick test, like a diabetic person would use, just to check these things. Kit Kat Chunky, really not good for my blood sugar at all. Made it really quite high. Whereas a dairy milk bar, not a problem. Barely noticed it. It was, up a few points, but nothing that would cause me an energy slump.
I know, like Tracy, Janice would probably be interested in it as well. There's Chris on here, Heather, Rachel, Jack, obviously, and people up above that I can't see. But ultimately, the secret is, I mean, we hear about food combinations, so it's chocolate and, but what you add into it is the extra third equation, is what your what your body will do with it, which is different to absolutely everybody. And I think this is where one person can get on really well with a diet and another person can't get on well with the diet. Is that judgment quite right there or not?
Yeah, so in my group at the moment, I'm talking about what will the average person respond to a thing. So the average person will respond to chocolate in a way that's absolutely fine. There might be the odd one or two who's had stuff happen to their gut bacteria that means that they can't digest it the same way, and they'll have a big sugar spike from it. And I always say that's why I really tell people to have a variety of foods. Because if you eat, say, bread, a lot of people in this country particularly eat bread for breakfast into a toast.
Put your hand up, put a comment in the comments, do you eat bread? Right? Yeah. I try not to have it in the house, but you can't beat a crusty cob, can you?
Yeah, it's lovely. We like it. But, you have it 3 meals a day with pizza in the evening as well, or bread with your dinner. And actually, your gut bacteria will learn. It will go, that's the food that I'm given most often. Better grow some more bacteria that likes that then. You're like feeding a little army of gut bacteria, and they get really good at releasing the sugars from bread. So whereas 20 years ago, you could have eaten bread and fine, now because you've overeaten it so much, you just actually have this overreaction to it, and your body gets really good at releasing the sugars really quickly, which will make you have that spike, which we're trying to avoid. Which is why it's the 40 to 55-year-olds that tend to start thinking about this, because why isn't it good anymore? I used to be able to eat bread, no problem.
So I'm in your group, and everything that you do in that group is absolutely amazing. But from a point of view of obviously getting specific information, there comes a point where obviously you're going to have to get people to come on a course, and obviously there'll be a charge involved with that. But quite frankly, that charge is minimal compared to the impact that you'll have on people's lives, because they will lose weight. This isn't a claim here, but what I'm saying is that you could give them the toolbox to help control their blood sugars, help them with weight, their skin problems. There's so much, which is why the two of us working together will be absolutely brilliant. Because I know there's a big thing out there. What's Janice said? Yes, but there's a limit. I think she's referring to, is that chocolate or bread? There's just delay. I think it might be bread.
There's no limit on chocolate. No one limits chocolate.
What's Janice said? Apparently there's a link between chocolate craving and magnesium deficiency. Is that a bit too deep to go into, or?
A little bit too deep for now, but but your body will crave foods if you're lacking in nutrients, definitely. Magnesium deficiency is one that can come from taking medication sometimes, actually. If you take particularly indigestion remedies, you can have magnesium deficiency that can lead to all sorts of food cravings.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Jack's put on here as well. Fabulous group with loads of information. So yeah, go and join Suzanne's group. Now, the other thing that we spoke about was, you said when you do a chat with somebody, you always say, which is the question that you've asked me to prepare myself, what is an average family meal? Well, for me, obviously, there's only me and Vince and the 2 cats. But I'm really into, obviously, for most of you know, I've got vegan goals. Occasionally, there's a little bit of cheese that sneaks in there. But for me personally, everything that I do from a product or purchasing or whatever I put in my body from now on. But for me, I guess I'm really into at the moment southern fried corn nuggets with like freshly prepared salad with like a vinaigrette dressing. And obviously what I do with the corn nuggets, I put them in the oven for 15 minutes. So I don't fry them. So hopefully you're going to tell me that's not too bad.
It's not too bad. Not too bad at all. There's plenty of meals worse than that. If you wanted to make it even better, you could add more creamy dressing to your salad, because actually adding adding fat to a meal slows down the release of sugars into your bloodstream. So you'll get a slower, steadier rate increase rather than a spiky one.
So don't buy the vinaigrette dressing, buy the full fat cream dressing.
Go for the full fat. I know it goes against what people have been told, but actually the low fat message that we've been given over the last few decades, that's been disproved by science. That there's so many scientific studies now going, actually there's a link now between not eating enough fat and things like heart disease and dementia and diabetes. You need to have certain balance of fats in your body. Fat contains nutrients that we don't get enough of.
Yeah, because your brain's made up of fat, isn't it, as well?
It needs fat. It's not always made of fat, but it needs fat for the messages to fire properly.
Okay. So the trick is to commit to it and stay on it. Don't go, and then try not to be influenced with the marketing healthy choice meals. And I suppose what you're going to say is don't look at the calories. Calories
aren't really the big thing. Calories are, again, a bit of a strange measure. They're a measure of what food may have in it. Doesn't necessarily mean what you can get from a food. And they, you know, even one food, if you measure 2 different people in terms of how they can absorb it, they'll get different amount of calories from the food anyway. And what I have read is recently, which was quite a shocking study, people who lose a lot of weight by reducing their calories in a significant way, over time, their gut bacteria responds to that. It's all about gut bacteria. Sorry, it's all I talk about these days. And that learns to absorb more calories out of the food that you eat. So whereas before, you might be able to get away with a 2,000 calorie day. Yeah. After you've lost the weight, that might be a bad day. You might have to only eat 1,500 to stay slim.
So is that some people like me, you do a diet and then you eat a chocolate and you've put 4 pounds on. What's all that about?
That's what yo-yo dieting is. It's literally that. Because you've dieted, you now can't have the calorie intake anymore. So I think it's better to just eat sensibly, eat a variety of foods, and try to do it in a healthy way rather than starving yourself.
So for me as a vegan, fats are going to be avocado, obviously oil and also the product.
Yeah.
You've got your olive oil, you've got coconut oil. So basically, again, I suppose so if I take out my corn nuggets and replace them with just the corn nugget, just without the batter around them.
Yeah.
And actually put them in a pan with some olive oil and fry them, which I would.
Yeah, go for coconut. Go for coconut oil. Actually, it's more stable when you fry it, so you'll get better quality fat after you fried it. But definitely, the breadcrumb on the outside of a corn nugget, surprisingly, does do quite a lot of difference to your blood sugar. I don't quite know what they put in them to make them like that, but yeah, I eat corn quite a lot in my house, and if I just have corn in a sauce or corn fried, it's
makes difference.
A lot better.
Janet's put, and my belly is.
What's that emoji? Not quite a happy one.
That's what happens with. That's what I think it's craving. Probably craving. Your belly's craving, and obviously Janet's put on there that everything's really. It is honestly, it's absolutely stunning. I'm so pleased that I've met Suzanne in my life, personally and professionally, and everybody that I know who've met you recently is all saying exactly the same thing. You're just lovely with it as well. You're just so calm with it. You're not pressurized in any way, shape, or form. You're just so nice to work with. So me talking about my average meal would be something like that. So in the winter comes along and I'm there peeling my potatoes and my carrots and I'm doing all that kind of thing and I'm munching away on the carrot and telling me that's really good. And of course, like for me, mashed potato is my staple diet in the winter. You know, mashed potato goes with absolutely everything, especially like Sunday, like when you cook yourself a big dinner. So that's fine, isn't it? A plate of vegetables. Mashed
potato is not what I would recommend, actually. So potato as a whole food, chocolate potato, not too bad because it's in its original form with plenty of, you know, fibre in there as well. By the time you've peeled it, boiled it, mashed it, it's almost all digested before it gets to your mouth. You've done all the chewing already. So by the time it gets to your stomach, it absorbs so quickly. It's really high glycemic index food.
So that's why it's really nice though, because you just swallow it.
I know. But put a black potato in the oven for, you know, a good hour and a half. It goes melty anyway, and it's much better. You know, add lots of butter into it.
So eat the potato as a whole. Don't cut it, don't chop it, and eat the skin with a big dollop of fat on top of it.
Yeah, that's the way to eat potato. You're gonna have. You still have it your Sunday lunch. You know, just chop up some new potatoes, leave the skin on, put a bit of butter over the top, still nice for your Sunday lunch.
So you're going to tell me roast potatoes are good?
Right, it depends how you cook them. I have to say, before I knew about my stuff, I always used to coat mine in flour. I used to parboil them, fluff them up, coat them in flour, and then put them in the fat in the oven, which is like double carb. It's not great. But if you just put them in some healthy coconut oil or something with some herbs on top, that would be okay.
So in your group at the moment, you're basically saying to people they can ask you questions and you will give feedback?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sometimes people put a picture of their lunch on there and say, what do you think of this? And I'll say, yeah, that looks great. Or maybe take this off, or maybe put that on. Yeah, I'm all about making easy things. I'm not looking to change people into some kind of, you know, mad fad diet thing. I like to eat real food. I like people to eat the food they like, you know, and just make a little change to it.
I saw what you ate before. You literally just finished with clients and then jumped on here to me and I went, do you know what she was eating? She was eating a cookie. And I was telling her off. I said, you shouldn't be eating that cookie. But like you say, it's having the mindset and the knowledge that you can dip in and out. But as long as I guess it's, you know, you're, 70% right all the time?
Yeah, and even the cookie, I mean, it's not like a health food. It's not like it's going to give me loads of nutrients. And I have had nutrients in my day. Like, I've not lived on cookies all day. But in terms of I've measured my own blood sugar reaction to cookies. Tea and cookies for me is not a bad thing. It's not the wonderful thing in the world. But compared to me eating like a cheese sandwich, for example, a cheese sandwich would be an awful thing for me to eat right now. It would take my sugars really high, but for me, a cookie's not too bad.
And that must be where the meal deals come in, because you have these meal deals, don't you, in the shops? And it's like, if you think about it, it's a sandwich, it's a bag of crisps, it's a bar of chocolate and a drink. And if you think about it, you really only probably need one of those things, but you feel like you do need all of those things. Then your blood sugars completely go. You've just eaten it, you've gone to work. No wonder you've fallen asleep in the afternoon.
That's what it is. It's that 2:30 slump, isn't it? We all get it. Yeah.
Janet says you're better to make your own cookies.
Well, potentially yes. It depends on the way you make it, obviously. But I've got 2 daughters at home who are always baking me stuff, because that's what girls do when they're 11 and 13. And actually, I've checked the food they make me, and a brownie that they make me is far better for me than a brownie I buy from Tesco. So I think there is something in that if you're using proper fresh ingredients and cooking and eating them fresh. Processed food isn't always so good.
Yeah, you've got all that water retention as well, isn't it, when you're dealing with, but that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole different thing. So tell me more about your course, Esther, because you've obviously got your course that you're looking to build. And it's not just about makeup, is it?
No, and I guess that's where I've changed a lot. I am literally sitting waiting for intellectual property to come back to me so I can trademark a name. And when it's released, hopefully, fingers crossed, and I get it, that will be the umbrella to it all. But I think the thing that happened to me during lockdown was the fact, which is why I've probably not been that active doing makeup and stuff, is the fact that I actually really embraced the whole sort of like thought process behind feeling good about yourself. As most people will know, I've normally got my hair scraped back. You don't see me with great big long nails. You don't see me with loads of makeup on. But I know, having my own skin conditions and obviously having all my stomach problems as well, was the fact that to me, it's all about feeling good within yourself. And therefore, when you look in the mirror, you feel happy. Whereas I think the industry's got it wrong, where it's like, put this on to make yourself, and it's all a little bit sort of backwards to me. So my course will be called More Than Makeup. It will be like six sessions, and it will be probably 4 of them will be me, which will be focusing on skincare and makeup and what have you. But then I'm bolting into that the likes of people like you, Suzanne, who are going to obviously do one session, which is all about your blood sugars and all that type of thing. And then we've also got like a fitness point of view as well. And then also family life as well. I've got some great coaches who are going to be working on sort of like helping you help your children, which in turn makes you feel better, because the pressures of like looking after the children is so draining. I see so many clients who are absolutely shattered. So, you know, I've got some fantastic people who are going to come in and give you the mindset on how you can work better with smaller children or older children, and make you in turn, make you feel and look amazing without even picking up a product.
Fantastic.
Because you can watch loads of YouTube videos and you can read loads of magazines about me, which is skincare and makeup, and about you and health and nutrition, but they have to be very cross-border, don't they? I get people say they watch a YouTube video how to do a smoky eye look, and they go, doesn't work for me. And the fact is, fundamentally, like you're saying about everyone's gut bacteria rather, we're all different to start off with, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I've tried those makeup tutorial videos, and I have to say my eyes aren't the same, and I think everyone's got symmetrical eyes, but sometimes what works on one eye doesn't work on the other. So how are you supposed to learn what works on someone else's eyes and put it on your own?
So your course starts off fundamentally about finding out what your gut bacteria is, which then gives you the springboard to work through it in your blood sugars. My first thing that I touch on with all of my workshops is, what face shape are you? What skin type are you? Which then means that when I talk about things, you know what you are and know what you can do. So yeah, that's it. So that's not bad. What time are we looking at? 32. So that's our half an hour slot done. But ultimately, I will reshare in the group again. This is my link here. We'll put that back in it. So this is, if you're watching this, if it's being shared and nobody knows who I am, then basically I'm Esther Marie, and I'm fundamentally a beauty coach, kind of just helping you with your inner confidence. And that's my link there, which is esthermarie.co.uk/VIP. You can join my mailing list and I can send some information out to you. And then as far as Suzanne's concerned, she's got her group, and inside that group, it's very active. You can work with like-minded people, and she'll give you access to lots of knowledge. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think you've covered it all. It's been really nice talking to you today.
That's all right. I'm going to go out there in the sunshine and have a nice walk around.
Lovely. All right. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.